Bizarre stories from the subscribers.
Hi Leo Augusto, I'm Godofredo. There was a not so bright student in my class named Renan. He always got bad grades and his mother would beat him a lot when he failed. Everything changed in the second semester when he started getting perfect scores. The teacher grew suspicious. She thought he was cheating off some smart kid. But she didn't find any evidence of possible cheating. So when asked how he managed to get those grades, he said it was all thanks to his lucky pen. But I got curious, and later during recess, I started a conversation with him. Hey man, how did you get so smart all of a sudden, huh?
You're getting straight A's in everything. Oh, it was my lucky pen that helped me. What do you mean? Can I see it?
Sure, take a look. And Leo's pen was different. It was made of rusty iron and had some writings I didn't understand. I had never seen that brand before. So I asked where he found it and he said it was in a cemetery. He noticed that when he used it, he could answer all the questions. It was like some force was moving his hands. I asked if he wasn't afraid that something evil was making this happen. It doesn't matter. If I don't get good grades, I'll get beaten by my mom when I get home. So my only option is to use it. I said goodbye to him and went home.
After a few weeks, the boy was no longer the same.
It seemed like something had taken control of his body. I came to talk and he didn't even seem to know me anymore, man. I asked how his family was doing. And he said he's an orphan, that he never had one.
Whatever that thing was in the pen that took control of him, it seems like it took over completely. His behavior started getting more aggressive, and every day he got into fights with someone at school, man. My God, what a bizarre thing. The school year ended and he managed to pass all his classes, man. Easy, easy. Before the school year was over, he disappeared mysteriously. Years have passed and I still wonder about this mystery to this day.
What happened to that boy with that bizarre pen? I hope you enjoyed this story, Leo. Thank you. Hello, Leo Augusto. My name is Ricardinho and something creepy happened at school. A really weird kid named Carlos had transferred to my class. He had an appearance that didn't really look like a human. Of course, he had eyes, a nose, a mouth, arms and legs, but his shape looked like an animal, you know? My friends and I had a theory that he was related to the Chupacabra man, because that appearance could only be from that species. And because of that, people started calling him Chupacabra or Freak, even Spawn of the Devil. When it wasn't in front of him, it was behind his back, in groups of friends, and so on. Until a week had passed since Carlos joined our class and this episode happened, Leo. During recess, I had gone to the classroom to get some cards and play with my friends. That's when I saw two bullies from another class come into mine and start messing with Carlos. They shouted all kinds of nicknames in his ear and slapped him on the back of the neck, man. That's when I saw the worst scene of my life. The moment the bully went to punch him, Carlos opened his mouth and bit the guy's arm. I couldn't see it directly, but I just saw the blood running down the floor and the bully with a stump of an arm gushing blood, my friend. Right after that, I started looking for the part that had fallen, but there was nothing on the floor, just the puddle. They ran out of the room and soon the people in charge came. A student had lost an arm in the classroom and I was the only eyewitness there to the whole thing. Already in the principal's office, it was the first time I heard the voice of Carlos. He said that the boys were running and one of them ended up losing control and hitting his arm on the window glass. They wanted to know my version. I ended up saying the same thing. I was afraid of what could happen to me.
That same day, there was a commotion in the bathroom.
What had happened was that there was a gigantic turd in the school bathroom. The amount of crap was absurd, man. And if you look closely, man, there were crushed pieces of bone. Soon, the theory came up that it was the work of Carlos, the Chupacabra. He ate the kid's arm and now he crapped that out, look.
Months later, another kettle showed up without its legs.
According to the school's official statement, he tried to jump the wall to skip class and ended up getting his legs stuck in the metalwork. And nobody ever found the limbs, right, man?
What is that?
Carlos stayed at the school for 3 months and was transferred to another one. Nobody knows why, but probably wherever he goes, these bizarre things happen. Hello Leo, my name is Pedro and this story happened when I was 10 years old. I was at my school which had a gym and behind it there was an abandoned asylum. Everyone was afraid of that asylum because they said it was haunted.
And I, being the curious person I am, always tried to see if there was any spirit.
I tried to look through a crack in the gym gate. But my friends laughed at me and didn't believe it. Because the only time I could look at the place was during the girls' dance class.
And that's why they thought my intention wasn't to look for a spirit, but I kept going anyway.
One day I went again to check if there was any spirit in the place. Until I saw in the asylum window an old pale man in white clothes slowly passing by the window. At that moment I was in shock.
And I went to tell my friends, but nobody believed me.
And they used the same argument that I was spying on the dance class. But I didn't let their comments get to me and I went to look for a witness. So I found my friend Rogerim who agreed to go with me to see the old man. But to make sure he would show up, we stayed at the school all night. When we got there, we put our eyes through the crack in the gate and waited for a long time, but we didn't see anything. So my friend was already wanting to give up and just believe that the man didn't exist. Until suddenly we noticed a light turning on in the abandoned asylum, man. Then we saw the old man looking at us with his blood-stained clothes. At that moment I grabbed my phone and took a bunch of pictures, man, and
I ran away.
afterwards. So the next day I went to show all my friends the proof that what I was saying was true. However, when I went to show the photo, it was blurry and you couldn't see anything at all. And I just became the butt of jokes in my class. Sometime later, that asylum was demolished and a hospital was built in its place. And nowadays, there are reports that at night you can hear screams inside that hospital. But my friend and I have no doubt that those screams are from patients being attacked by the old man, claiming more and more victims. Hello Leo, I'm Anna Julia and I'm here to share a story from when I was 10 years old. I was sitting on the sidewalk with some friends. We were talking about a weird house that was in the area. They say that in 1991,
An old lady.
died in that house under mysterious circumstances. So, a crazy friend of ours said this, who's up for going to that house? I initially disagreed and stayed quiet, but since everyone was going, I ended up going too.
I was going to be there alone doing nothing. Everyone was going to have a partner.
I was going to go with Samuel and my friend Gabby was going to go with Lucas. We jumped the wall and headed toward the abandoned house. Samuel and I went inside while Gabby and Lucas went to the backyard. The house had a heavy energy. It was very strange. And there were terrifying things inside. Then I saw the picture of the lady and she looked sad. I kept looking at the portrait until I saw something behind her. It was a strange shadow. It looked like a tall creature with horns. When he arrived, the thing just disappeared from the background. We heard a scream from Gabby and Lucas out there. We saw the old lady with the creature in her rocking chair on the porch. The old lady was smiling with a psychopath's face.
The creature too. When I looked at Lucas and Gabby, they were already running, calling us to get out of there. Run, you idiots!
We ran after them and managed to catch up with them.
When I looked back, the creature was running after us with the old lady on its shoulder.
Come back here, my guests. We started screaming and crying. The backyard of the house seemed endless. It was really big. It was full of tall grass. It was hard to get out of there. We finally reached the end of the house, jumped over the wall and ran to the other sidewalk. I was all scraped up, my clothes were covered in burrs and I was exhausted. My mom called me to come inside. Then I told her, that I had gone to the abandoned house where that old lady used to live. She scolded me, told me never to go near that place. She said she had known that old lady for decades, but she had been tormented by a bizarre spirit and ended up dying in a mysterious way. She thinks it was that evil creature, Since then, that house has been up for auction, man, but nobody buys it.
Hi Leo, I'm Miguel, a 12-year-old from Portugal.
At the time this happened, I was about 10 years old, more or less. At my school, there was a place where my friends and I would hang out together and talk. There in that courtyard, there was a door that was usually closed and led to an unknown area. Until one day, to our surprise, it was open. Seeing that, we went over there to take a look. And when we went through, it led to a garden with some vegetable plants and fruit trees. And there was an abandoned house at the end of that lot. On the wall, Anna was written. We, since we had fertile imaginations, made up a legend about this Anna. That someone died there in that place and that this spirit still wandered around to take care of those plants and so on.
One day during recess, we took 2 curious people to see it. So as soon as we passed through the gate, the plantation was all dried up.
The trees didn't have any fruit left. Everything was weird, man. But we kept going anyway. We went into the abandoned house and to our surprise, there was a light on. It seemed to be coming from the basement. Could someone have gone in there and turned on the light? My God, we quietly went over to take a look to see if anyone was still there, right? I don't know. And the moment we got there, the light disappeared, man. It's strange that there wasn't any little window or lamp on the ceiling, man. How did that happen?
The air started to get heavy, my friend.
And fear took over us. After about 2 minutes, we heard the door closing up there. We ran to get out of there, but when I grabbed the door and pulled, it was stuck. It wouldn't open at all. The basement light turned on again. At that moment, all of us put our strength together and managed to open the door, and we ran out. From a distance, I took a look through the window and I saw the shadow of a woman with long hair, but I couldn't see her face, and then she disappeared. After that day, the door that gave access to that place stayed locked, and we never managed to go back there. Probably the person who left it open closed it, right? Could it have been an employee from the school? Or something else? Hello, Leo Augusto. I'm Jonas. I want to tell you about something that happened the year before last. I was experiencing some vision problems. I couldn't see distant images clearly. I urgently needed glasses. Because I was having trouble at school. Copying from the board was already getting really complicated. For me, since my family was poor, I didn't have money to do the necessary exams. And to buy glasses with the right prescription for me. So I had to live with this difficulty, man. Then one day I was rummaging through the drawers at my house.
Until I saw a wooden box.
I opened my late grandfather's belongings to take a look. To my surprise, there were several papers and an old pair of glasses. Wow, I really needed one. I got so lucky here, man. I'll use it. And when I put them on, they were perfect, Leo. Wow, this could only be a miracle. From then on, I did much better in school. I no longer had to strain my eyes
To see. But then I started to notice some strange things.
I noticed that everywhere had dark particles floating around. They looked like clouds of dust. I went to the bathroom to wash my eyes. It could be some side effect of wearing glasses that weren't made for me. And when I finished washing, I put them on again. I see a person behind me. It was a woman. She kept staring at me, and I realized she wasn't human. Those particles were emanating from her very strongly. I ignored it and quickly left the bathroom. Walking down the hallway, I saw 2 third-year students arguing, almost getting into a fight, man. There was one of those strange things stuck to them. It seemed like the glasses revealed the supernatural world, Leo. A lot of things I couldn't see before, now I could see. On the way back home, there's a cemetery, and I took a look inside just to test something. And man, that place was full of creatures. I rebuked it, made the sign of the cross and ran out of there, man. I got home and went to check the box where the glasses were. Maybe I could find something out. The papers that were with it had some notes from my grandfather. He said those glasses were passed down by his ancestors, that it was a sacred relic. It would help the descendants follow the path, seeing the truth. I kind of lost my mind, man, and put the glasses away again. I managed to save up some money and buy regular glasses. I don't have the courage to mess with that box again. Since then, I never saw those things again. Hello, Leo. My name is Diogenes, and I'm going to tell you a story that scared me greatly.
The year Pokemon Go launched, I went wild.
I couldn't stop playing. I started walking around places to catch Pokemon. One day I walked 20 kilometers. I even started getting skinny. The fat I had accumulated over the years, man, was burned off by the long distances I walked.
So I had caught a lot, but I was still missing some of the ghost type.
The only place they showed up was in the cemetery at night. So after work, I decided to stop by the cemetery, right? I left the restaurant at midnight.
It was the perfect time to complete my Pokédex.
So when I go there, I ask the dead for permission to enter their territory.
Wow, man, it was full of Pokemon I didn't have. I saw a big tomb with an unknown Pokemon. My phone didn't show which one it was. As I got closer, I saw it wasn't a Pokemon, man. It was actually a girl sitting there. I got really scared, you know?
Kid, you scared me. Why are you here alone? I'm here with my mom. With your...
Mom, where is...
She then, because I don't see her? Here is her tombstone. My condolences. Where are your guardians? It's midnight. Aren't you afraid to be alone here? When I was alive, I was. That's when I realized that little girl wasn't alive. She was a ghost. Girl, did you see the light? Why didn't you go? Because my mother wasn't with me.
Now I'm waiting for her to come get me.
But how do you know she hasn't already gone after the light? She must be waiting for you up there. So after that talk with the ghost girl, I left. As incredible as it may seem, my desire to play Pokemon stopped, man. I kept thinking about that little girl's case, man. I couldn't sleep and I checked the name that was on the tombstone. I did some research. Searching on the internet, I found a news article mentioning an accident that happened a year ago. About a mother and a daughter who lost their lives. In an accident, the car fell off a cliff, leaving survivors. The next day, I went there again around midnight and I didn't see anything anymore. The girl was probably gone. After that day, I never went to cemeteries again.
Hello, Leo. My name is Roberto Azambuja, and my son Ronaldo loves your videos. I'm going to tell you a story that happened about 2 years ago. I had found an abandoned child's bicycle and thought about fixing it up to give as a gift to my son.
When I got home with it, I saw that it was in good condition. I just changed the brakes. So, when I gave it to him, he was very happy because he really wanted to ride with his friends. I taught him how to ride, and in no time the boy was already an expert. So he went to try it out with the kids, right? He went around the neighborhood, but he came back soon after, complaining that the bike was pulling to one side, that he tried to turn right and it went left. I made some adjustments, but everything was fine. So after that, it was perfect. He returned to the street to ride with his friends, which is when I went to watch the game and have a beer. I ended up losing track of time, man. And when it was 8 o'clock at night, I went outside to see if Ronaldo had come back yet, but there was no sign of him. I started to get worried, you know? I told him to come back before it got dark. Is everything okay? Damn. So I went to his friend's house, Reginaldo. Sometimes he could be there, you know, just chatting. But when I called Reginaldo, the boy said the following. Hi, Mr. Roberto. He's not here. He said he was going to ride a little more by himself. I don't know how he was managing to ride because the bike had something wrong with it. It kept going to one side
And to the other without him even moving it.
At that moment, I got scared. I decided to look for him around the neighborhood and nothing. I searched all the streets. And not a sign of my son. I had a feeling to go by the place where I had found that bike, and to my surprise, I saw Ronaldo. Damn, he was lying on the ground.
And unconscious, I picked him up and tried to revive him.
Ronaldo said he tried to go back home, but the bike had brought him there. It seemed like it had a life of its own. He tried to throw himself to the ground, but he couldn't let go of the handlebars. When he got there, the bike threw him off, and that's when he hit his head. He said that before he blacked out, he saw a really strange kid, all red, getting on the bike and riding away.
All I can say is that bike wasn't normal.
I'm glad nothing bad happened to my son.
After that, I made sure to buy a new bike at this store, man. My God, I hope you like this story, Leo. Hello, Leo. My name is Loro, and I'm 12 years old. I was at school on a calm day. However, in the middle of class, I felt like going to the bathroom. So I asked the teacher and went there. However, all the stalls were locked.
It seemed like they were cleaning, but they hadn't finished yet.
I tried to find someone to open it, but I couldn't hold it, and I went in my pants. Oh no, when I went back to the classroom, everyone laughed at me. They called me a pooper for a long time. A few days went by, and during recess when I was in the classroom, something unexpected happened. Everyone had a terrible stomachache and asked the teacher to go to the bathroom, all at the same time. Fearing everyone would get sick in class, she let them go. But I stayed since I had my own snack. The school food might have been contaminated. Seemingly everyone's dad is feeling sick. There were 35 kids for only 5 restroom stalls shared by boys and girls. Without mentioning what happened, I realized there was one more student.
He didn't use the bathroom, but I didn't know him, which is strange since we're already in the second semester. And I've never seen this kid, while everyone else was crapping themselves.
There in the bathroom, I approached him and asked if he hadn't eaten the school lunch, and he told me that no, he never ate again after the day he died. Huh? Died? Yes, I'm dead. I'm a vengeful spirit now. I got really scared and the teacher asked me, "Who are you talking to, Laura?"
Are you going crazy, girl?
Then he started to tell his story. He had gone to eat in the cafeteria, and while he was getting some juice, some troublemakers put some medicine in his food to give him diarrhea and laugh at him. After a while, before he could get to the bathroom, he messed himself in the classroom.
They laughed at him for a long time, so he started holding in the urge to go to the bathroom.
And because of that, he had many bouts of constipation. He said that one day he collapsed from pain and was taken to the hospital. On the same day, he passed away. In his last moments, he swore revenge on those who ridiculed him. At that moment, he disappeared. That made me believe he got back at those students for me. No kid in my class laughed at me after that day or called me a coward. It was something surreal that I can't get out of my head to this day.
Hi, Jonathan. My stepmother owned an extremely irritating dog that bothered me whenever I visited my dad's place.
The dog would come running like a bullet and bite my leg. So they would put him in a little isolated corner of the house. So that wouldn't happen. Then one day I was watching cartoons until late.
My dad told me to go to sleep as it was already around 2 ante-meridium.
So I went there, lay down, turned toward the corner of the wall and closed my eyes. When I was falling asleep, I felt my shirt slowly lift up and claws started scratching my back. I turned around right away in a lot of pain and there was nothing there. The damn dog must have gotten loose to come bother me. So I went, closed the door and locked it with a key, right? My back was burning. I tried to go back to sleep anyway, and when I was almost drifting off to sleep, again, the animal started scratching my back like it was digging a hole, man. I screamed really loud, dude, and got pissed off, ready to kick the dog. But I didn't hit anything. I turned on the light to see better, and there was nothing there.
How did this dog get in here if everything was locked? My dad came to see what was going on. I opened the door and said I was attacked by the dog. He said it was impossible because the dog was outside in the yard and the house was all locked up.
Even the room I was in, right? There was no way the animal could get in. I was really scared.
Because what he was saying was true.
Already alone in the room with the door locked, I approached the mirror to take a look at my back.
My entire back was scratched and there were drops of blood coming out. I have no idea what caused it. But I was truly attacked by some creature. I fully wrapped myself in the blanket. I made a cocoon out of the blanket. It was so hot I was sweating all night. I barely slept. The next morning, I woke up and went to have my coffee, starving. When I got to the kitchen, something was going on. My father was comforting my stepmother who was crying a lot. I asked what had happened. He mentioned an animal had entered the backyard. It attacked the dog, which didn't survive. I said it must have been a creature from the underworld because it had scratched my back. I showed the wound and my father said it must have been me scratching at night and I didn't notice.
They didn't believe my version.
After that, I was afraid to sleep at their house. I hope you enjoyed this bizarre subscriber story. And if you want to send in a story to appear in this segment here,
just send it to inscritosleo@gmail.com, okay?
I'm going to wrap it up here. Bye.